Well, the United States and China are at odds with each other once again. This time, it's a case of who spied on who. Washington has accused Beijing of cyber espionage, but China has dismissed the accusations. It says the US is also guilty of spying on other countries, including them. Well, which begs the question, is government information ever protected? And perhaps more importantly for us, is South Africa, in fact, at risk? Here's Craig Rosworn, Managing Director at Wolfpack Information Risk. He joins me. Craig, good to have you with us. And I was just talking to you of spying versus espionage. It sounds like the born identity, doesn't it?
It does indeed, and the fact is always more interesting than the fiction that we actually read. Just to maybe put a bit of perspective, we've got a different range of categories of cyber activity. We've got cybercrime, which I think we're quite well aware of, which has a financial motive, and then cyber warfare and cyber espionage are two of the newer groupings that have popped up on the scene, and we're starting to see a lot of cyber spying, cyber espionage.
What is cyber espionage? What is the point of doing it? Cyber crime, we know, is to get into your bank account, my bank account, and defraud us. What's the point of cyber espionage?
So espionage has always been around. I think with technology being so available and so powerful nowadays, it's just really using technology to aid in spying.
When it comes to countries, however, especially big countries like the United States and China, and the secrets that they each have about their own, say, for example, defense, their own economy, how important is this accusation from the United States towards China and, as we've seen, the reverse, China accusing the US?
Well, this is nothing really new. It's been on the cards now for the last at least 10 or so years, where there's been a number of accusations leveled, especially against China, against spying on US companies. There was a report brought out end of last year by a security group called Mandiant, which spelled out categorically which groups, which factions, and that were actually spying, and the amount of information that had actually been stolen. So there's been a lot of activity, a lot of public debate and political interaction between, even at a presidential level. And this is now the next leg.
Do we have any idea, any of the reports that you've read or sources you've heard from, what exactly has been stolen? What kind of information? Is it defense? Is it the economy? Is it economics? What sort of info has apparently been stolen in this espionage?
Typically, high-profile US organizations in the manufacturing sector, weapons manufacturing, right even to organizations like Google, Boeing, for example, have had large-scale breaches of information being stolen. The US government actually has said terabytes of information has leaked across to the eastern shores.
Very worrying, and I think worrying perhaps because of my next question. We know South Africa has been at risk as far as cyber attacks, cyber espionage is concerned, but we're very far south from the US and China. How much of a threat are we under in South Africa as a country, but also as the government?
Our biggest concern right now is cybercrime, but our government, especially state security, is very concerned when it comes to cyber espionage. So there are a number of initiatives taking place currently around improving controls in the country that we are involved in assisting as well.
How should I be concerned? People watching at home, will this affect us in any way? Will it change our lives if, for example, an espionage attack takes place? Should I be losing sleep?
Look, it's not just governments and large corporates that are targeted. Individuals are targeted. The motives are more financial, but there is spying right from your webcam literally being turned on without your knowing, through to criminals going through your social media, through your bank accounts, for example, where they are able to hack into it. So there's a lot of concern out there. What we are not seeing in the country is a high level of awareness. So that is something that we're pushing very heavily for in consultation with government.
In a final comment from me, if I can, I know you said you're pushing it with government. Viewers watching at the moment who think they might be under threat, want to avoid any chance of it, what advice do you give them? You mentioned social media. I imagine home computers are also a major concern.
We actually are in the throes of bringing out a survival guide that we're going to be distributing free of charge, because we're just seeing the rate of attacks happening out there are so huge. We've already brought out a public awareness site, alertafrica.com, which is available for free to go and have a look at. So we are, as I said, we are pushing a lot to get things rolled out in the country.
Yeah, it doesn't affect you until it suddenly happens to you. All your information's gone. Craig, as always, thank you very much for coming in. Craig Rosworn, Managing Director of Wolfpack Information Risk. If you just Google his name or Google his company, I'm sure you'll find more on that survival guide that he was talking about. Just gone 4:15. Here's your headline stories.